Time to get tied on because we are off and running Sunday here at Gulfstream Park. Another Sunday fun day upon us. Jason Blue, Acacia Courtney, Paddock Studios, the bright lights here in Hallandale Beach. Sunday afternoon, and no rest for the weary here late in this four-day racing week at GP. We run another 12-race card.
Yes, we do. And yesterday was full of big fields and one big price after another. So it will be interesting to see if we do have some races like that today. Several more big fields and lots of good betting opportunities this afternoon. But the Rainbow Six, there was one single alive in the last leg for $300,000 plus. But the Rainbow Six lives, and we'll have a carryover again today. So it should be fun to follow that sequence this afternoon.
And quickly, Songbird, yes. Delaware Handicap, worked hard, a lot harder than most people would have thought going in for a bona fide champion, but she dug in, got the win, and good to see her getting that elusive Delaware Handicap win for owner Rick Porter.
That, I think, was the most special part. Whether she won by 1 length or 10, I think that just getting the win was the big piece of it there. So always fun to see her back on track.
And fun to get involved here at Gulfstream Park. And again, the support throughout a record-breaking spring and early summer meet, fantastic. Everybody betting across the country here on the Gulfstream product yesterday with both fists. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You get a big Gulfstream Today salute, and let's check out what's on tap today as far as this 12-race program that begins a little after 12:55. We've got 7 in the first. That means we can bring on the first dollar rolling super high 5 of the afternoon. Of course, that coincides with the traditional start of the early pick 5. I'll be giving out a ticket momentarily, and with the 12-race card, you do the math. That affords us not 2, but 3 pick 4s.
Yes, the ever popular middle pick 4, we do have that on the 12-race program. So don't forget, it starts in race 5. And then, as I alluded to, we have a big carryover in the Rainbow Six today. 222 333. As easy as that, but should be very well bet this afternoon. That starts in the 7th race today.
And some big fields again. We are good and firm, and let's not forget about that final pick 5 on the last 5 races, of course. Races 8 through 12. I like the 11th race quite a bit. We had talked about it yesterday. It looks like a loaded Florida-bred optional claimer. More on that as we get down the road on this Sunday edition live of Gulfstream Today. And let's jump into the first race, which includes that early pick 5 play. $36 for me in this opening sequence. I am going to single and anchor the ticket with Rupp, who I think, given his relentless grinding style, I think a mile is going to be perfect for him. And he just strikes me as a horse who's still on the improve for trainer Stanley Gold. So he's the single. You've got 2 for trainer Gerald Bennett in the first, taking on the white-hot trainer Ralph Zadie. I will use those 3 rematching fillies from the first here on June the 4th. Similar situation in race number 3, in which Victor Barboza Jr. and Peter Walder both have speed horses off daylight victories. They're on the ticket. My only opinion in the 4th is it's a loaded-looking race for 2-year-old fillies on the turf. There you go there with the 4-horse spread. And again, I'm trying to cover the bases as far as if we get up to the 5th, the best pace type, the best mid-pack runner, and the best finisher. I think we've got it in every bit of the 4, 5, and 6 in the middle of that pack in race number 5. But getting on to the crew here, again, 2 for Gerald Bennett, 1 for trainer Ralph Zadie, and these gals are familiar with each other. They all faced each other back in the opener on June the 4th.
Yes, they did, and we'll backtrack to that race. It was won by Nanos Crown, who is the number 2 today. So there's the number 5 Nanos Crown up a little bit close. The number 2 is Love Flute, now first off the claim for Gerald Bennett as well. And the number 3 is Our Sweet Exchange. So I just want to show, as we are coming around, we're going to pick it up at the quarter pole. And I want to freeze it right there, because what I want to draw attention to is the number 3, Our Sweet Exchange, because she's just kind of boxed in with not really any space to run, and we'll let it go from there. Nanos Crown, I thought, had a much easier trip. Now, if you look at Love Flute, for instance, that filly had a really tight trip, and then we'll freeze it right again there. Now things are kind of opening up, but this bunch of horses right there is just all clumped up, while your winners, out to the front. So we'll just let it roll through the wire. Just wanted to show how there certainly were some different trips. I think the toughest of it did go to Our Sweet Exchange. I think pace-wise, it could set up for her today, and she's taking all the early money.
Yeah, I agree. As Tyler Gaffleone, we welcome him back to Hallandale Beach. He spent the afternoon up at Delaware Park.
He did. Actually, late jockey change just came in. Emmy Sale Jaramillo will be on this horse in the opener, but Tyler back this afternoon.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's down here. Don't want to forgo another 12-race card here at Gulfstream Park. It's certainly a worthy substitute in Jaramillo. Thank you for that rider change for Ralph Zadie, who's got a total of 3 wins over the last 2 cards, including a couple of nice ones here Friday afternoon. I do think the trip this go-round for Nano's Crown, due to the presence of the outside horse, Cowtown Spirit, she'll take the race to her. She might even be a little faster, and I do think Love Flute, who gets a major barn upgrade. The guy that had her last time, not a household name by any means, a trainer that doesn't run many horses, and now you're going to a perennial leading Tampa Bay trainer. So I'm taking a Love Flute with Edgar Zayas. You like Ralph Zadie and Jaramillo with the number 4, Our Sweet Exchange. And again, I would be shocked if neither of those 3 did not win the first race. In fact, I think there's a good chance they'll run 1, 2, 3 again.
They certainly could. We both have them that way in some way, shape, or form.
All right, let's get on to race number 2 as we hit the main track. We go a mile in our opening dirt race on the program. We had some early morning rain here in South Florida. The good news with that, I think the main track will be on a steady sort of drying out basis throughout the program, and it also broke the humidity and stickiness around here. It's pretty mild, all things considered, as we join you on Gulfstream today. And we join you, I think, looking at a potential real favorite in the form of a Rupp in race number 2. By the way, a huge Saturday at Gulfstream for Arundel Farm and trainer Stanley Gold, who swept both 2-year-old races on the program. They had Weekend Mischief back in the second. I was blown away. I mean, Dunk, who won the 9th and won by nearly 9 lengths, he was awesome in his 3rd lifetime start.
Really impressive open length victory, and you just hit the nail on the head. Actually, both of those horses making their 3rd lifetime start. Weekend Mischief had 2 on the turf, and we were kind of talking about this, talking to Stanley Gold. He kept saying with 2-year-olds, you have to be patient, and sometimes they need some time or maybe some distance.
And the Colt by Brethren, you would think, in Dunk will be targeting that August 5th Dr. Fager Stakes, the opening leg of the Florida Sire Series. So good stuff there. And again, I think their winning weekend continues. They had an awesome first half to the weekend. I think Rupp looks pretty solid here in the second. Again, I really liked the forward move last time, and I think that sort of just one pace, steady, relentless kind of gallop that he's got will work perfectly against this field at 1 mile.
He does, and you hit his running style. You really hit the nail on the head there, and that's certainly, he's the one to beat. I was really intrigued by a horse who technically is stepping up in class, but he's making his first start for Joseph Orsino, and that's the 2 Midnight on Broadway. And we'll go back to his last race. They added the blinkers on him 2 starts back, and he's really showed a lot more improved speed since then. So I think with the barn change, he's the number 2 that day in the white blinkers, and we'll just go from there. But he got the lead out of the chute and was pressured by the number 4, who was Aberdeen Way, who did end up getting the win that day, but he was hounded pretty much the entire time and did manage to hold along the rail. So I thought it was one of the best performances, certainly the best performance he had run so far. So we'll see if he can improve with the barn change. And I just think the last time he faced special weight competition, it was slightly tougher than what he finds today.
Oh, he's faced the best fields. There's no doubt about that. He's faced the best fields while not being a factor at some pretty big prices. Perhaps he is heading in the right direction off that trainer change to Joe Orsino. Of the pair coming out of that race, the opener on May 26th, I preferred the bigger price Dixie Mambo, who just didn't really pull a great trip. He was up close in a tight little spot before dropping back, and he's now with Angel Penna Jr. But again, I really feel it's a race that centers around Rupp, who, judging by the early money in the doubles, may be a real big favorite. Let's stay Acacia on the main track as we fast forward to Sunday's 3rd race. We're on the mile, or at the mile again, out of the chute with this 3 and up $12,500 claimer, and even going over that early pick 5, the comment was, looks like a key sort of matchup between Victor Barboza Jr. with Majestic Air and trainer Peter Walder, who now conditions the 5 Lemon Royal. as both are coming out of much the best daylight scores by a combined 18 lengths or so.
It's pretty crazy when you look at the last races for each of these two. Majestic Air stretching out in distance and was first off the claim, won by 6 1/4 last time, and Lemon Royal, after a couple of seconds, turned back slightly to the 7/8 and won by 11 1/4. So I suppose that could be the general negative for Lemon Royal, is that he does not have a win at this distance. But I think that he is the most solid and the most consistent. And I remember watching him last summer, and he was actually kind of a one-run closer, and they've changed his running style to make him more versatile. And I just think off of his last few races, he's shown another dimension that does put him in a good spot. Majestic Air, though, I wouldn't leave him off.
No, you've got to use him. I think that's the tricky thing about this race. You don't want to get beat by Walder or Barboza, and that forces you to double the ticket if you're playing the multis like I did in the early pick 5. I just had a hard time separating them. What won me over into the corner of Jaramillo, Barboza, and Majestic Air is the stat we're about to show you. Now, granted, the claiming price basically doubles here with this gelding by Majestic Warrior. This is a trainer who's done very well, and I think this stat shows that his winners who are getting it done first time for the barn off the claim are not leaving their races. They're not one and done per se, where they just start, they give you that big effort, and then they just start to take a nosedive in the form department. So 4 for 8, that's good enough for me. I hope they'll make it 5 for 9 today with Majestic Air. And I think that'll do it for race 3 between Barboza and Walder as we get on to race number 4. Some guesswork here, but some fun guesswork. Yes. I love that we're running, again, very much a Florida, South Florida rookie in the summertime, running 2-year-old races almost every day here, and sometimes more than one, and you've got some solid barns, connections, and pedigrees here to go over in race 4.
You really do. And I'll be honest, I had a really hard time with this race, and I think that kind of shows. Our picks are a little bit all over the place, but there's one horse that guess we should probably start with the 6 Holy Diver, who does have experience on the turf, and will show his last race. This was on July 2nd. She was the number 2 that day. Now, she doesn't have a lot of early speed. That could be a negative, but it was a nice rally up the rail, and she just kept trying to find room. So she actually has 2 races on the turf so far. She's finished 3rd in both of them. We'll just freeze right there to highlight how she's kind of just stuck along the rail waiting for room and just let it roll through the wire. But maybe her experience on the grass already will give her an edge.
And I'm wondering at around this point, even a little further up the stretch, if she was a little tentative down there. It looked like maybe she had some momentum and a little more run than ultimately what the stretch kick turned out for her. And maybe she just got a little intimidated down inside. So you might have an effort that was even better than it appears on paper, which, considering she's got some foundation and seasoning, that's a good thing, because, again, we're coming off a Saturday card and a Saturday sweep in the 2-year-old department for Stanley Gold. Both winners, and they both won by open lengths. They had seasoning, experience, and foundation.
I think that's one of the key things with the 2-year-olds, is that you see them take a step not only physically but mentally when they've had some races under their belt, unless they are sometimes the exception to the rule that they come to the track just so well prepared. And for me, the mental part is just, if not more important.
Now, I don't love that Tyler Gaffalione is off the 4 Crazy for Sophia, who he rode in a well-bet debut and really a nondescript debut back on the dirt on June 17th as he pilots a gray filly by exchange rate for trainer David Fox in the number 5 Day Trader. I love Mizzen Mass on the turf, of course, and again, being a horse out of a Bernstein dam, this is just all turf pedigree. The only sib, actually, has been a full minor winner, but a 2-time winner at that on the dirt. The dam herself, Catchy Tune, who, again, by Bernstein, was a 3-time winner on the turf for about $130K. That gives me hope. I love the Mizzen Mass and Bernstein's on the grass. I get both here with Crazy for Sophia. Good enough for me, but you will follow. You'll follow the Tyler G trail, and he's aboard the Fox Firster, who, again, I love Mizzen Mast. I also like exchange rates on the turf.
I will, and I took a wait and see approach with Crazy for Sophia, but she certainly could take to the turf. As I said, I was kind of all over the place with this race and was a little bit disappointed by her debut. But Day Trader for Dave Fox, she is a half-2 multiple stakes place Can Do, who won on the grass. And I found a really fascinating stat for Dave Fox. 2-year-old first-time starters on the turf. He's 6 for 20, so 30% win and 60% in the money me with a 397
Wow.
ROI.
Oh, that's a
Plus
biggie.
you get Tyler, so I said, all right, I'll take a stab with this
No,
one.
that's an awesome stat. Yeah, great find by you. And certainly that bodes well into saying the 5-day trader could be very live today, in addition to the obvious signs of a Gaffleone jumping aboard. And real fast, the Cassie homebred on the rail, another great filly in the mix by Orb. This one, let's see, a half-sister to a couple of foals who are 0 for 2. I got a kick out of seeing that the dam was bred in Minnesota.
Yes, that is pretty cool. As you said, we haven't really seen anything from the siblings as of yet, but Orb has had a winner on the turf, so that might be a little bit of a key, and we'll see how he does.
All right, solid. We'll have you outside. And we have Ron Nicoletti back today. Spent the day, or Saturday that is, up in Orlando having a good time talking to the customers and horse players, and it's good to have Ronnie back with us here at Gulfstream Park, and we'll be on the air with him shortly before the first race. Let's move on to the 5th in the meantime as we continue to plug along here on this marathon Sunday afternoon at GP. We're on the dirt at 6.5 furlongs with this 3-and-up filly mare, high-priced allowance optional claimer. I am going to Peter Walder here. You picked him in race number 3. I will take the 5, my dear Venezuela, out of respect for the connections. Pretty sharp outfit that saw fit to claim this filly for a good chunk of change back in mid-April. That was after the championship meet, and they still decided to go in for $62,500 to claim her. I'll give her a pass for her one race for the owner off the claim against a much tougher field in that $100,000 stake here in late May. And I do think there is a chance she just works out a pretty nice trip either on the lead or perhaps tracking the number 2. Our Girl's a Charmer in a compact field where she benefits from having a post on the outside.
She certainly does, but I do think Our Girl's a Charmer, the number 2, is where I landed. I really think she's going to improve today. I think that she needed that race off the layoff. It was about 6 months. They put her right in a stake. The Musical Romance was won by Money or Love, who was a big upset that day. And I do think she is the type of filly that's better on the lead as well to show that natural speed. She has an inside post, I imagine. Miguel and the Cassie Barn actually did win a stake together, so good to see him still getting some mounts. But she got very hot on the track last time as well, so that kind of leads me to believe she needed one, should be better today.
Yeah, she's got the lay of the land now, a little more time to acclimate to the weather and climate here during the summer months in South Florida. Believe me, as a guy who just got off the plane, it takes some time to get used to the heat down here. We'll see how she does. Again, a major pace factor and maybe more than that. In a tricky 5th, you say, well, it's only a 6-horse field. This is a very hard race. Very hard race. You've got some solid connections and a number of horses like your top selection who have some serious back class. We move on. We're just about halfway home on the program here. Race number 6. Back to the turf we go at a mile and a 16th with this 12-5 maiden claimer. These are 3-and-up fillies and mares. I'm not happy about it. I said to you and Ronnie in the office before the show, I said, did either one of you take Kabuki? And, of course, Ronnie did. He said, oh, yeah, I got Kabuki on top. I said, I don't love going on TV and talking about the exploits of a horse who's probably going to be in the even money range, who's burned some serious cash. Looking at what she's facing, all I'll say is I think she's going to win, but it is now or never for her today.
It really is now or never. And I ended up picking against Kabuki today. I think I must have picked her the last 5 or 6 times. I think I've been her number 1 fan for a while.
Yes.
And she has at some good prices and at some short prices as well. And she just has not been able to get it done. I certainly do respect her. I think she's in a good spot today. But I did look for an alternative and perhaps a little bit of a better price. The class dropper, 5 cents, please. Sometimes Ronnie Spatz has horses that just drop into the right level and they really can be live. And I like that Jaramillo is aboard again. This filly tried the turf last time as well and actually ran okay with an outside post and being wide. So we'll see if she improves.
I'm chasing Kabuki. We'll chase with Acacia, the Rainbow 6, her ticket, and a lot more coming your way after the quick break.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Welcome back. Sunday of Gulfstream today, right outside our walking ring. It is a pretty scene down here. Classy, but also beachy and relaxed at Gulfstream Park. Jason and Acacia, glad you're still with us. And it's time now, if we could get that drum roll.
I know.
Rainbow Six time with over 220 Gs in the carryover.
Yes, indeed. We held our breath in the last race yesterday, but it lives to see another day. So I'll do $54 today. Hopefully we'll make it through the first leg. I'm going to single right off the bat. Taken to church just looks
On a
to be the one
Sunday,
to
taken
beat.
to church.
On a Sunday,
Meant to be.
taken to church. There is your hunch bet for the day. I love it. So we'll see if I can get that done right away. I wanted to spread in some of the other legs, so I went 3 deep in the 8th, 3 in the 9th, and in the 10th. And you can see the 11th race. I thought, and you said this earlier as well, this is just full of hard-knocking types. It's a fascinating race, an excellent betting race.
Yep.
I wanted some coverage, I wanted some prices, so I'll go 2 deep in the finale with 5 in the 11th, $54.
$54, and it all comes down to, at least as far as the opening piece of the puzzle, the inside runner taken to church in race 7. I was many who liked them last time, moving from Gio to Zadie, and it looked like, and it's a race we'll show you via the spotlight on July 2nd, above the quarter pole, he puts away the speed to his inside. Edgar Zayas is just sitting on him like he's got a ton, and then all of a sudden they hit that 3/16 pole and straighten away, and you could tell he was basically on empty at this point.
He was. He had gotten some pressure early on from the number 5 Ballara that day, and we'll freeze it right there. So here's the horse that was pressuring him. He is now fading and stopping. And here we have Taken to Church in the white blinkers drifting as Hangry is the number 6 who did end up winning. He's coming on the inside, and we'll let it roll through the wire there as clearly Taken to Church was getting tired. It opened up the rail for other horses to close in there, so he was beaten like that as the favorite, just kind of a little bit lackluster coming down to the stretch, but I do think he's got speed and inside post and in the right spot today.
And it's hard to see Brass Badge, who was among those horses down towards the inside, in fact, was basically trying to rally alongside Hangry. He really had no punch, I thought, at crunch time, despite getting a very honest and hot pace to close into. And although I'm sure this claim hasn't panned out the way they had hoped with Taken to Church, it feels like he's just in the right spot today, where he's probably going to be controlling the pace from the rail, and he's probably just going to win at a short price. And this really is sort of a mid-pick 3 here, at least with races 6, 7, and 8, where you're looking at between Kabuki, Taken to Church, and then the 3 Fair Prospect as we start the late pick 5. I mean, you're looking at 3 consecutive very short price prohibitive favorite horses. Now, Fair Prospect will be the single for me off the bat in the late pick 5 today as this horse drops in, and it's a noteworthy drop into a 3 and up $10,000 claiming race on the turf. Just looks fastest in here, has faced the best horses of recent, and just has a big edge in the speed figure department. If there's some moisture left over, and they don't even need moisture, but Dreaming of Joey and Nutty Boy I thought looked pretty solid. You've got 1 pace type and 1 closer in race number 9. I used 3 in the 10th. You have some respectable, consistent form with Hope is Rising, the 1, and the 7 Osvaldo. They've had a gazillion chances. At least Little Leo has only run 3 times, and he's dropping into a $12,500 or $20,000 maiden claimer on the turf. The 11th race, Acacia used 5, I'll use 3. Favorite race on the card, and one of my favorite of the week here at Gulfstream Park. And as we come up on the nightcap, I'll go 3 deep, and I think I've got the right 3 in the last. It's still a tricky affair when the curtain comes down in race number 12, but getting back to the crew in race number 8, Fair Prospect is really the starting point, and it might be by a sufficient margin. We both picked him on top as he's in for the 10 Gs after running against like Diaz and Perfect Tay and even Adios Nardo.
He is taking a significant drop in class, and that does kind of make me a little bit nervous because he's been running well against those tough horses. He was 3rd by 2 lengths and 3rd by 3/4 of a length behind Diaz and Perfect Taste, two starts back.
Yeah.
That is more than respectable. And so though he's kind of been knocking on the door, you can understand a drop in class. He's really taking a big drop in class to the $10,000 tag. So I absolutely think he's the one to beat in here today. Just did think maybe he might have a couple that that will try and give him a hard time today. Barefoot Cove moved into the barn of Ralph Nix last time and had a nice win, so we'll see if he can do anything else today. But I think Fair Prospect is certainly the one to beat. We'll see how he does on that drop.
Yeah, indeed. It does feel like he's kind of a give-up, kind of like a claim me.
Yes.
Dropping in for the
sale.
10 for trainer Michelle Nihei. We'll see. Barefoot Cove, by the way, very dangerous runner we both have in the mix, along with the number 4 Tiro. You've got two good outfits taking on the big favorite Fair Prospect in Steve Kosaris and Ralph Nix, who, by the way, enters the program 7 for 21 at this current meet. Pretty good. Race number 9 on the program. Tough group of 6250 claimers. I like, and we like calling these the heart and soul types of the game. They're just very honest horses, and it's kind of funny. The 3 sort of mid-packed inside runners are all coming out between My Johnny Be Good, Dreaming of Joey, and Nutty Boy. They ran against each other last time out, June 29th. I don't think there's any denying that the trip horse out of that race is My Johnny Be Good.
He is, and we'll just show the head-on of that break quickly just to kind of highlight what happened. He was totally done after the start. There's the number 3. We're just going to let it roll from there. He's in the green blinkers. Pretty easy to follow as things are starting out okay, and then boom, he just gets totally cut off and has to shuffle back a bit. And squeezed back, covered up early on, doesn't get to show that early speed. You can see a little bit of losing some footing there early on as well. So My Johnny Be Good had a tough time after that. Now, I still think he's been very popular at the claim box, claimed in his last 5, where he's that one of those horses we still don't know which horse we're going to get, which My Johnny Be Good is going to show up to the track.
But if things go a little smoother, and they're likely, I don't think they can be as bad as they were last time. He'll be very unlucky if a similar situation presents itself in that first 1/8 of a mile or first quarter. I think you're going to get a respectable effort. You've got a reliable speedster in Dreaming of Joey, who really sped off early in that race. He was the gray on the front end and just got a little tired. And then Nutty Boy seems a little inconsistent, but one of these Sano horses that can be very bad or very average on one day and very good the next day for no rhyme or reason. He's a must-use, and in fact, an old 5-6 for you and me.
Yes, I like it, and a little bit of a price. The number 2, Super Simi, now 3rd off the bench for Steve Kosaris. Turf to dirt sprinting, about 21% and a positive ROI, so a little bit of a price play in there too.
All right, I like it. Like those prices, like Steve Kosaris. On to race number 10. Myona 16th on the turf. These are 3 and up, $20,000 maiden claimers. And again, in talking about that late pick 5 play, I used 3 in here. If I was trying to trim corners or to save some money or was very much budget-minded, I might just single the number 2 Little Leo, simply because you've got a horse who's never lost on the turf for 20K. That's a positive, a good post as well. And it's basically because of who he's in against, where Hope is Rising, consistent check getter, he's 0 for 29. And he's got a 4% rider on him. Then you've got the 7 Osvaldo, who Gaffleone taking the call on this horse piqued my interest, but he's 0 for a baker's dozen.
Yes, he is. He's over 13. I did put him on top. He was beaten just a neck last time. He is one of those typical Sano horses we have seen kind of at this level, right there, picking up some checks, just needs to take that next step forward. Today's got to be the day for him. I like Little Leo as well. I also think he was compromised by his post in his last 2, and he does get the drop today. Certainly expect him to be well turned out for Larry Bates.
All right, good point with the post and switching from 9 out of 10 to post number 2. On a race number 11 today, as we have a war. I mean, there's no other way to put this Florida bred other than allowance optional claimer at a 1-turn mile on the main track. This will be the last dirt race of the card and week here at Gulfstream Park. There's just a ton going on in this race, and I'm looking forward to a number of these horses in running, and I just like the fact that you've got a real mix of some lightly raced horses who could be pretty good, like Sweat, Entangled. You've also got, and even Front Loaded is probably still on the improve, and then you've got the other side of the coin, 7-year-old 8-time winner in Starship Zorro, who's on the dirt today for Peter Walder, and Jaden's Best, who is probably in like the top 5 of my favorite horses currently running at Gulfstream Park.
He's such an easy horse to root for. A 5-year-old gelding, 9-time winner out of 31 starts already, and he actually dead heated for second with our friend Papa Pig last time out. Top-notch effort from him. He's just been in excellent form. He actually won 4 races in a row and then had a second, a win, and a second. So So he's just been in top form today, has apprentice Franklin Ceballos in the saddle. Certainly respect this horse. I did land on front loaded because, as you said, I think he's kind of on the improve. Yes, you can put a big line through the last part where the last race, excuse me, where he clipped heels and didn't end up finishing. But he had a win prior to that against, I think, a tough competition, though this is really a war in here. They had really thought highly enough of him to put him into stakes. He was kind of overshadowed by his stablemate 3 Rules in the Florida Sire Stakes last year, but he was second to him in one of the legs. So we'll see if he can get back to some of that past form.
That effort 2 back, and again with Cornelio and Sir Hernan and the Bug Boy dropping him last time, a toss, but he was bet so strong in that race. I think looking at that and the fact that his race 2 back was very pivotal after the turf layoff race, and the fact that he had kind of gone off form, but he delivered in that effort, and I liked it quite a bit on May 18th, and no reason to think he won't run big. What do we get from the 5, Sweat, who wasn't bet all that strongly first time out, I guess, in a 6-horse field at a little over 3.5 to 1, and was outrun early and hard-ridden from the gate. This was not a plan where Edgar Zayas, I don't think, wanted to be so far back. He was really asking Sweat out of the gate, but the horse just took himself out, got a perfect ride after that, saved ground, angled out wide, and finished up very, very fast for a trainer in Stanley Gold, who, by the way, not an easy move to accomplish the stat we're about to show you. With the first out maiden winner on the dirt, with these horses coming back, the barn's been pretty good. So again, this leads me to believe these aren't horses that are tighter than a rubber band for just one race. It's training a horse and getting a horse ready for a career, not a single race. And this is something that Stanley Gold has done before with success. We'll see how he does here with the 5 Sweat. What do you make of him?
Well, you certainly have to respect him, and he definitely is a little bit of an unknown, kind of the both sides, as you were pointing out before, that he does only have 1 race under his belt, but he got a 75 Beyer speed figure. I thought it was a solid effort from him, considering things didn't exactly go the way that they planned. Did want to give a quick mention, at 10 to 1, the 6 Manolete, I think, is very, very live in here today. He's been beaten by very slim margins against tough competition in his last couple, so we'll see if he can really fit amongst these at a nice price.
All right, Jaden's best for me for the obvious reasons. He puts himself in the race. He seems like he's just a tough horse who just hits hard and shows up every 3 weeks that he goes out there. Very, very, very solid 11th race today. And of course, it all ends with race number 12, including that $200,000 plus Rainbow 6, as we cap the week at GP with a 3-and-up filly mare, 2 lifetime $10,000 claimer at 7.5 furlongs. I've been very impressed with the job Reed Nagel does. Trainer here, obviously, at this time of the year in South Florida. He entered 2, and the fact that he scratched the number 4 Congrella leads me to believe, at least I look at this as a confidence play, that they like the 5 No Opponent, and the stat, we hope you like it as much as we do. Second off the layoff on the turf, Reed Nagel's done very well. He bats at 25% with a near 55-horse sample, and this is a move. Clearly the barn has got designs, and maybe that last start was just a little springboard race to get this one back 2 weeks after.
Certainly could be, and she did have some trouble at the start as well. She was kind of crowded and had to check herself a little bit, though she did go off the favorite. I love that you pulled that stat because I love Reed Nagel's second, even third off the bench. Those horses just seem to improve and are well spotted as well. I definitely think this is her race to lose in the finale.
We hope that's the case.
Yes.
We hope you get there in the rainbow.
Me
Hopefully
too.
my pick 5 is live. Should be a fun day, though. That 2-year-old race earlier in the program. The 11th is a can't-miss allowance optional claimer at Gulfstream Park. And speaking of can't miss, the 3 of us will have Ron Nicoletti back in the mix. And you cannot change the channel. One and only Pete Aiello coming up in a few seconds.
Important stuff. Good luck and happy Sunday, everyone.
Yeah, take those pens, pencils, and tablets out. School's in session with Pete Aiello very shortly.